When a man dismisses you, the instinct is often to question, "What's wrong with me?" But what if his disregard says more about his own vulnerabilities than any shortcoming in you? Carl Jung, the renowned psychologist, taught that what we see in others often mirrors our own hidden fears. So, why does a man choose to turn away from you? What drives that seemingly distant behavior, which, beneath the surface, conceals something far more profound? What is he shielding from you? And perhaps even from himself? The male mind, much like the female mind, is a complex tapestry of hidden corners, what Jung called the shadow, the parts of ourselves we suppress or deny. A man who ignores you might be projecting his own doubts, his fear of closeness, or even a sense of inadequacy he's unwilling to confront. The truth is, his greatest weakness often lies in what he tries hardest to conceal. What prompts this behavior? Is it arrogance, emotional detachment, or, deep down, a fear that acknowledging you might expose something he'd rather keep buried? His silence isn't always a sign of strength. It's often a clue to an inner struggle he may not fully grasp. As Jung wisely said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Could it be that this man is truly in control? Or is he merely trapped by his own unacknowledged shadows? Many women fall into a common trap. They see his silence as a puzzle to solve. They strive to prove their worth, to capture his attention, to unravel the enigma of his behavior. But Jung's teachings remind us that true strength comes from self-integration, not chasing someone else's approval. What happens when you stop reacting to his distance and instead reflect on what it reveals about you? What shifts when you recognize that his withdrawal often stems from his inability to handle his own feelings for you? In this video, we'll dive deep into what it means when a man ignores you and how his vulnerabilities can become your greatest strength. If this resonates with you, consider subscribing to Side Effects and hitting the notification bell to join our journey of self-discovery and empowerment. You're about to uncover truths he may not even admit to himself. Once you understand these, his silence will lose its power over you. He steps back, ignores you, because he assumes you'll always be there, waiting. He believes he can return whenever he pleases, finding you just as available, attentive, and eager for his attention. But what happens when that certainty fades? What changes when he realizes you're no longer the predictable woman he took for granted? Jung noted that humans cling to the illusion of control over what they don't fully understand. A man's true weakness isn't in his act of ignoring you, it's in his belief that nothing will change, that you'll always be there to bolster his ego. When you stop chasing, stop reacting, stop offering the attention he expects, the dynamic shifts. You become unpredictable, an enigma he can't easily solve. This disruption creates a conflict within him. Jung observed that humans fear what they cannot predict. Doubt erodes more than loss itself. How many women fall into the cycle of seeking validation from a man who dismisses them? They post subtle hints, check if he's seen their stories, or try to stay visible in his world. But these actions only reinforce his belief that he holds the upper hand. The real shift happens when you recognize that your absence speaks louder than any attempt to be noticed. When he notices you no longer send messages, react to his posts, or seek his attention, a void opens in his mind. The woman he thought he knew is gone, and this is his first true weakness. He only feels secure as long as he believes you're still within reach. When that belief crumbles, uncertainty creeps in, prompting him to question whether he's lost something irreplaceable. Jung said, "What we reject in others reflects what we reject in ourselves." Often, A man ignores a woman to avoid confronting the impact she has on him. But what happens when he realizes that impact is slipping away? Let's go deeper. Want to know the 5 critical vulnerabilities of a man who pulls away and ignores you? Points so sensitive they can make even the most confident man rethink his actions? Stay with me, because what's coming next could transform how you navigate this dynamic. When you step back from his life, he feels a discomfort he didn't anticipate. The presence he once took for granted is gone, and his own silence, once a tool of control, turns against him. Jung taught that the psyche seeks balance between opposites. When one side vanishes, the other intensifies. If he once felt comfortable ignoring you, now unease takes hold. Absence is powerful. It forces him to notice the space you once filled, and that emptiness begins to weigh on him. You might notice subtle signs. He views your stories, reacts to a post, or leaves a vague comment as if to say, "I'm still here." But the difference now is that he no longer has the assurance you'll always be available. The attention he once received effortlessly, the sense of importance he gained by dismissing you, becomes his Achilles heel. Jung noted that the mind craves balance, and when something familiar disappears, it triggers alertness. That's the effect you've created. The second vulnerability lies in the security he feels, knowing you're waiting. Men who thrive on a woman's uncertainty do so because it gives them a sense of dominance. If he believes you can't live without him, that you fear losing him, or that you think no one else compares, he feels justified in ignoring you. But when you radiate confidence, when your energy shifts from scarcity to abundance, his world tilts. Jung said, "What we resist persists." When he senses he's losing the control he thought he had, uncertainty creeps in, shaking his foundation. The game changes when you stop seeking crumbs of attention and start valuing yourself. A woman who knows her worth doesn't chase. She attracts. When you embody this confidence, you dismantle his sense of security. He no longer assumes he can ignore you without consequence. Suddenly, he wonders, what if she's not there when I want her back? Before we dive into the third vulnerability, I want to hear from you. Have you ever felt ignored by someone who thought they could get away with it? Drop a comment below with your experience, or simply type, "Today, I choose myself," to affirm your power. And if this content is resonating, give it a like and subscribe to Side Effects for more insights to transform your life. The third vulnerability is his belief that he's the center of your world. Many women, without realizing it, feed this illusion by pouring all their energy into a man, neglecting other parts of their lives. Jung said, "What we invest our energy in grows." When you focus solely on a man who ignores you, you reinforce his sense of power. But what happens when he's no longer your sole focus? To break this cycle, reconnect with friends, family, and passions that make you feel whole. Your life gains new depth, and you realize he was never your only source of joy. This shift shatters his sense of exclusivity. When he sees you thriving, surrounded by people who value you, exploring new horizons, his confidence wavers. Jung noted that humans fear losing control over what they believe they possess. When you're no longer orbiting him, he feels the same uncertainty he once imposed on you. This isn't about replacing him with someone else. It's about expanding your world. Your presence becomes magnetic, and his belief that he's irreplaceable begins to fade. Another hidden weakness is his need to feel essential to you. Many men convince themselves that a woman relies on them, emotionally, financially, or otherwise. This false security allows them to ignore you without fear of loss. But when you show that your happiness doesn't hinge on him, that you choose who deserves your time, the dynamic shifts. You're no longer the woman he could dismiss without consequence. You become someone who demands value in return, and that realization forces him to confront his own shortcomings. This is where the power dynamic flips. He can ignore you, but when you grow stronger, more confident and self-assured, he loses the leverage he once had. He begins to see that he is the one at risk of losing something valuable. Before we move to the final piece of this puzzle, share in the comments. Have you ever given more than you received in a relationship? Your story could inspire others, so don't hold back. And if this video is shifting your perspective, hit that like button to spread this message. The final vulnerability is his self-esteem, one of his most fragile points. Jung explained that a person's identity is shaped by the reflections they receive from others. When a man feels admired or desired, it boosts his ego, reinforcing his sense of control. But when you withdraw that validation, his confidence falters. The key isn't to ignore him in return or play games, it's to stop treating him as the center of your world. When he's just another person in your life, not a priority, it shakes his psyche in ways he can't articulate. Jung taught that the unconscious operates symbolically. When a man senses that the woman who once elevated him no longer does, he feels a loss he can't fully grasp. He's accustomed to being valued without effort, but when that validation vanishes, a void forms. This is where you stay ahead. Instead of seeking his attention, redirect that energy to yourself. Become the woman who doesn't need him to feel extraordinary. This shift makes him realize he's lost something he took for granted. The secret lies in reciprocity. Jung said, relationships are mirrors. If you endlessly reflect admiration without receiving it in return, he'll never value you. A woman who knows her worth doesn't give her energy freely. She demands balance. If he believes he deserves your dedication without effort, he'll never see your true value. Many women exhaust themselves hoping for recognition that never comes. The change starts when you stop giving everything away and start prioritizing yourself. The ultimate shift happens when you understand that his treatment of you reflects how he perceives his own value in your life. If he thinks he can ignore you, and you'll still be there, he'll never fear losing you. Jung noted that humans test others' boundaries to see how far they can go. Many men do this unconsciously, pulling away to gauge your reaction. But when you stop offering unconditional attention, his ego faces a crisis. He's used to effortless validation, but when he must work to regain it, insecurity sets in. This is the difference between a woman who is valued and one who is overlooked. The valued woman knows her attention is a gift, not an obligation. She doesn't chase or beg. She sets standards. When a man senses he might lose her, he's forced to reassess his behavior. His desire for control becomes a need to be accepted again. But by this point, you're no longer seeking his approval. You've become the woman who chooses who deserves her time, and that shift makes him see your worth. For this to work, your actions must be authentic. It's not about feigning disinterest. It's about truly knowing you don't need to beg for attention. Jung said, "What we accept in others reflects what we accept in ourselves." If you tolerate less than you deserve, you signal to your subconscious that you're not enough. Break that cycle. Imagine the confusion in his mind when he realizes you no longer need him to shine. That's when he feels fear. Fear of losing you, of no longer mattering, of having made a grave mistake. The real question isn't about him. It's about you. Why have you accepted less when you deserve so much more? Jung taught that what we don't confront within ourselves, we project outward. Have you spent too much time fixating on his feelings, his wants, his thoughts? It's time to redirect that energy to yourself. The biggest mistake is believing you must prove your worth to someone who should already see it. If a man thinks he can ignore you without consequence, he'll never truly value you. And if he believes he can return anytime, unchanged, he'll never fear losing you. You set the standard for how you're treated. If you haven't been valued, it's time to rewrite the narrative. Jung said, "What we attract reflects what we carry within." If you keep encountering men who dismiss you, ask yourself, when did you start accepting this? When did you believe you had to fight for attention? A woman who knows her worth doesn't beg, she radiates. The man who ignores you may seem confident, but deep down, he's afraid. Afraid of losing control, of no longer being your focus, of realizing he squandered an incredible woman's attention. If you follow these insights, building your self-esteem, embracing emotional independence, and refusing to accept less than you deserve, he'll feel the shift. He'll face a choice: value you or realize he never had the power he thought. But ask yourself, do you want someone who only sees your worth when he risks losing you? Don't you deserve someone who chooses you without manipulation or tests? A woman with options never chases a man who pulls away. She knows true love flows naturally. What you've learned here isn't just about making him feel your absence. It's about becoming a woman who never begs for attention. It's about shifting from waiting for validation to living a life that reflects your worth. When you change your energy, the world responds. The man who once ignored you may scramble to regain what he lost, but the real power lies in knowing you don't need him to thrive. One final question. Are you ready to stay stuck, hoping for someone to see your value? Or will you become the woman who knows exactly who she is? The choice is yours, and so is the power. Because true strength isn't in how others see you, it's in how you see yourself. If this video has shifted your perspective, I have a request. Subscribe to Side Effects and turn on notifications to keep getting content that empowers you. This isn't just a video, it's the start of a transformation. And if this resonated, give it a like to help other women find this message. In the comments, share your story or type, "Today, I choose myself," to claim your power. Let's build a community of women who know their worth. Now, go live the life you deserve, without waiting, without doubting, because you are enough.